everyone. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Iconist Podcast. As usual, I'm one of your hosts, Barry 3D. You know where to find me at barry3d.com. Check it out. You see everything listed there below, and on the side of where I'm going to be and what's happening with this show. On my side, as always, is the man, the myth, the legend. If you're not dancing, you're not on the right station. Finally,
DJ Rod C. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We got something for you. But I'll tell you shortly. How you doing, Barry? What's going on?
I'm good. It's a new year. We're in January. Everything is popping off, and we're starting off strong. So here's the second show of the new year, and I'm loving it. Hope everyone had good holidays. Everyone had a good New Year's, and just keep on trucking. That's all we got to say. On that note, we got to do, winners make it the man. It'll never change. We're going to do a quick round table. So remember, if you want to start a comic book collection, you need anything along those lines, please go and check out either Wild Comics in Kitchener or Wood West, The Hero's Tale out in Cambridge with Andrew, or X Wings in Montreal with Trevor. Tell all of them that you heard about them on the Iconist Podcast. They'll hook you up and take care of you. That is 100% for sure. And also, a big shout out to my crew that I'm a part of, A Touch of Gray Matter with myself, Zelf Ali, and Dave Sokolowski. Keep your ears peeled. We got some stuff coming up. And don't forget, we're also part of the Subculture Podcast Network. January, come on, we're getting closer to what we're going to be doing with some stuff with that. So I'm looking forward to that, and keep your ears peeled. On that note, Rod, where can they find you?
You can find me on the World Wide Web, as I always say, on the world of Instagram. You can find me at Mr. Rod C. You can find me on we'll go with the Twitch, as I always do, twitch.tv/DJ Rod C. You can find me on the world of TikTok at DJ Rod C1. That's DJ Rod C1. Listen, I agree. Let's have some fun. Make sure you reach out, follow you back, and let's go.
Hey. Before we go, even though it's a new year, we can't forget him. We got to remember the whole 9 yards. If you want to do a podcast, you should use Podbean like we do. Iconist.podbean.com. You too can have your voice there for all the masses. And if you do that, you need a graphic artist. And there's only one graphic artist you need to go to who's the one and only
J Bird Digital Art.
Mr. Jason Reese. If you mention that you've heard about him on the Iconist Podcast, he'll give you a discount. If you say it 3 times, you'll make him laugh, and he'll still give you some great work. So give him a shout. On that note, this is the Iconist Podcast. And on that, we talk about the guys who are a little bit lesser known, but still have a lot of life in them. And on this episode, we're going to go with the icon is Torpedo. Now, when we say Torpedo, we're not talking Torpedo from G.I. Joe. No. We're not talking Torpedo, who was a hitman in the Daredevil comics. No. We are not, we're talking about Torpedo, who did make his first appearance in Daredevil issue 126 in October 1975. Hopefully I got the right one there. I know there's more than one Torpedo.
That's right.
That's the right one. Yes, the right one. That's the right one. And now the thing is with Torpedo, this character, as I said, he's a legacy character, and this character has been around since 1975. Really, this Torpedo that we're talking about, blue suit, got a silver helmet, jets on his arms and around his wrist and ankles, and he fights. Okay, that's it. Torpedo. This is who we're talking about. He was created by Marv Wolfman and John Romita Sr. Hey, 2 powerhouses in the industry of comics. John Romita Sr. has worked on a lot of stuff. His son's still working on a lot of stuff too. So the John Romita Jr. exactly, and Marv Wolfman. Come on, he's all over a lot of stuff with DC with Mark Perez and the new Teen Titans. Okay, Starfire, Raven. There we go. That team. All right. Okay, you gotta. That's a smidgen of that. And if you watched a crossover episode of Arrow and Flash, Crisis of Infinite Earths, I think it was that one. Marv Wolfman actually shows up in the episode wearing a pullover, a zip-up hoodie with the Nightwing symbol on it. Cameo. And I don't mean the group because she's strange. All right. So why was this a character's legacy character? Well, the one that showed up in Daredevil in 1975 in issue 126. That was the first appearance. Now that Torpedo is interesting, but that's not the one I'm going to be focusing on. That Torpedo came about, built the suit, realized they were working for a company that wanted to use the suit for war. Person said, nope, I can't let it fall into evil hands. Bum, bum, bum. Put on the suit. As Rod would say, Ray, Ray, Ray. There was a quick fight. And Daredevil thought he was stealing the suit, realized what was going on, got injured. That guy is dying. And then the one we're talking about who carried on the legacy for a while, turned around, found the suit, said, and the Torpedo number one in his dying breath saying, "Oh, let the suit fall into the heavens." And the other person said, "I'll make sure to carry on the fight for you." And he's like, "I made suits for them, but yours is superior. I made theirs with flaws." And that was that. And then we got the new guy that carried on, being the Torpedo. It sounds cool, that sound effect in my head. I don't care if y'all agree or not. Sometimes you just gotta let the little inner kid come out. So there we go. Right. So now that's where he made his first appearance. But then of course Torpedo came back and had his official run, I would say, when we got the main one in Marvel Premiere, issues number 39 and 40. It was a 2-part story arc in December of 1977, and then up to February 1978. So Marvel Premiere, we used to give short stories on new properties or existing characters and give them more insight, more depth. And it was also a proving ground to say, hey, does this character have some chops that can turn around and maybe sell? And they're very excited about putting this character out there. So this is where the whole thing came about. And a lot of influence. So this is why we're talking about the Torpedo. So what's cool is we talked about Rom the Space Knight. So he started off in Marvel Premiere. He shows up and his story arc almost transitions in Rom. And all the way up to the New Warriors. Yeah. Yeah. Deep. Right? So that's what I said. So, the first one I said was a hitman. We're not talking about him. So the second version of him was Michael, and here we go. I want to screw up the name. Stivak?
I'm going with Stivak. Stivak. That's good. Right. Yeah, I'm going with Stivak.
Yeah. All right. So Michael Stivak, right? He was a young scientist in the United States. He was brought over by U.S. Senator, which is his uncle, or Eugene Stivak, and he asked him to design a battle suit for national defense. That's the, and of course, Evil Corporation. That's the one that ends up passing away. But then, the battle suit was the guy who saw him crushed under this part of a wall and rubble and went and saved him in the battle suit. His name is Brock Jones. Good all-American name. For half a second, I was like, Eddie Brock? No, wait, that's the last name. Brock.
And that's a funny thing. I thought of it and I forgot to, honestly, I did forget to go back and research who came first. But why I'm laughing is because it's Eddie Brock or is it Rick Jones? So it's like, we're doing a combo here. Like, what? We need to bring a name together. Bring Eddie's name, take last name. Rick Jones, take his last name. We'll put it together. Brock Jones has a nice swing for it. Let's go for it. Let's go. Yeah, that's the funny thing.
All of that. So Brock realizes, sees the battle going on. He takes the suit. Daredevil once again thinks he's stealing the suit, and they have, of course, every time. I think there's just too much testosterone in the superhero universe, because anytime you get two heroes that meet up, the first thing they're gonna do is fight. I don't know why they always have to have a fight when the heroes meet up for the first time. It's like it's always a misunderstanding.
100%. Right? You can't meet for coffee or something like that. You just can't let's discuss it. Let's have a brewski. Let's have a coffee. Let's discuss the situation now.
You want shawarma? Let's go and have shawarma. You want to do shawarma? Yeah. Let's go and have shawarma.
Tony did that. Tony did that. Remember, didn't Tony do that? Tony said, I know a great shawarma place around the corner. And could have did that. We could have did that. Look, it's the Marvel Universe. We could have did that. Anyway.
Here, I'm going to give right now. From a great mind. This man's a visionary. This man's insightful. This man turned around and he's got a new movie on Netflix that I just watched recently. It's called Headliners with Chris Rock and Kevin Hart. And in there, Chris Rock says a line. And the line that Chris Rock says is, before you have any meeting, have something to eat. Because when you don't have something to eat before a meeting, you say dumb stuff. It doesn't matter if it's a bagel, slice of bread. Just
Hilarious.
eat something. Just eat something so you don't do dumb stuff. Now, this is more of a shout out to him having a moment when he was a little bit hungry one time, and he was just, if his mouth was full, he wouldn't say anything stupid. That's the whole thing. So this is what superheroes should do. But getting down to Brock Jones, Brock bought it, got the costume. He has
Mm-hmm.
nothing about. He's not a scientist. He's not. He's not a policeman. He's not anything as a superhero. Brock Jones is a retired football player.
Telling you, they're digging deep on the Eddie Brock kind of. We need someone bulky. We need someone like that. Hilarious.
Yeah, blonde
Hilarious.
hair, blue eyes. Brock Jones, good American name. He's ex football player working in insurance. So his whole story is he quit football. So
Yeah.
he met the woman he loves. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
She's a model. He was football. They had money put aside. They fell in love, want to start a family. Cool. All right, I get you. I'm with you so far. So he's a family man. And at the time, he's got two kids, and he's working at an insurance company. Like that there is so like it's cool, but it's almost like tropey generic at the same time, right?
Right.
Ex football
Right.
and of course he doesn't like being in the office because he's a man of action, but he's working insurance.
I need something secure for my family. There's nothing more
Aflac.
secure than insurance. Everybody needs insurance. Job security, people. I got a job. Got to take care of the wife and kids.
Well, exactly
I
that's
want to
his
be
thought
outside again.
process.
I want to be outside again. I want to be outside again.
He wants to be active. He's still in shape. Not
Mm-hmm.
because he quit football and he's got a bum knee. He didn't quit because of an injury. He quit because he didn't want to be concussed or have injuries. He wanted to have a family. He did his time in football. Of course, you always want to be in the game a little bit longer than you probably should at times, and that's anything in dealing with life. But he got his
Yep.
wife, and he goes, "Hey, I got to take care of my wife. I don't want my wife to work." She sacrificed, or she not sacrificed. She gave up a successful modeling career to be with me to raise a family. That's his inner
Mindset.
thoughts.
Yeah.
That's his mindset. That's his inner thoughts. When you read Marvel Premiere issue number 39, he does go through and have this whole thing there. But at the same time, he's got that call to action. So secretly, what he does is like he sits there in the meeting, and it's like, Bueller, 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 and he's just kind of dozing. He's zoning out. That his coworkers are talking to him about all this stuff that for them is exciting, but for him, he's bored. He's just doing it. He had a career, and
Yep.
now he has a job. And once again, in a great, that great man, Chris Rock, he says in one of his specials, I think it was Bigger and Blacker, about a job and a career. He goes, people that have a job, they go to work every day to get up. And they're like, oh man, I can't stand this. Right. But he goes, when you have a career, be it whatever you study it in. So doctors have a career, accountants have a career. I'm not saying that those jobs are automatically a career. I'm just saying, even if you are just want to pass a mop in a hallway and you're happy
Yeah.
about that, that's your
That's the thing.
career. Because when you have a career, you'll feel like you never work a day in your life
Mm-hmm.
because that's something you want to do. It brings you joy.
100%.
Doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to have a career. And I said you could be just a janitor passing a mop, and you know what? No stress.
None.
I like things clean, and I see the results of my work right away. No stress, and I go home and I do my thing. So there you go. When you feel that it's a job and you're like, "No, I want out of here." Okay. So keep in mind his mindset. Brock Jones had a career,
Mhm.
left it to get a job that was
Yep.
more secure for the family. Doesn't have to worry about injuries because if a football player gets hurt, he's out. She gave up her modeling career, so that means traveling all over the world, and that's fine. And she has no regrets. Let me get this really straight. His wife does not impose anything on him. She's happy. She's happy. He's the one that's unhappy. So as I said, going back during the meetings, he'll zone out, and then it's like, And you picture like Fred Flintstone just running out the front door when it's like, the work is done or lunchtime. And he
Yep.
wears that costume underneath his clothes, and he'll go for a fly around New York City. I think he's in New York City. Yeah, he goes flying around
Yeah.
New York City because everyone's in New York City. And that's how he clears his head. And that's what he does. He gets home after a bad day of work. His wife's like, hey, everything good? Yeah, we have dinner. Okay, yeah, yeah. And she's talking about work. How's your day? How'd everything go? And she's really wants to be there. And he's like almost disassociated with it. And then he starts thinking to himself that he hates his job, which brings him down. He goes, oh, I'm just gonna go in the den for a while and I'll be out. And he goes in the den and he starts to brood. But then he's looking at the costume. He's looking at the helmet because he wears a costume underneath. It's a skin tight
Yep.
costume. It's all blue, silver gloves, silver little booties, ankle high, and a silver helmet with rose colored glasses, like literally goggles.
Right.
And he sits there brooding, and he goes in his thoughts, and then he thinks about, oh well, I went flying today and I did this, and I went flying here and I did that, and that's literally it. He's still trying to get used to the suit. So the suit, even though it just looks like it's a thin piece of clothing, is bulletproof resistant, temperature and cold resistant, so like the heat and cold, and it has like little micro servers in it, so it augments his strength. Right, just the suit alone, and if he uses the little fans that are on his wrist when he's flying, he puts it in reverse. He can do like a rocket punch kind of thing. So interesting. It's like it reminds me a lot of the Rocketeer. There's aspects and feels of that for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
What do you think about it, Rod?
So the character, I mean, Torpedo himself is a unique one. We are talking about the third one in that sense, Brock, but the transition when you understand of what he was before he was a criminal. The original one, not the original one, again, was a hitman, but the second one, Michael was it Michael?
Yeah.
I'm sure I'd say right, Michael. So Michael was the criminal, young scientist, and
yeah, well, he got duped, so he wasn't so much a criminal. He wasn't.
No. I just realized I made a mistake. Yeah, he's not a criminal because he bailed the suit because of criminal activity. He wanted to do better for them. I kind of center, but he was labeled as a criminal. Being hunted down by Daredevil, and then when Brock took it over, Brock was now being labeled because they were hunting it down, thinking that it was Michael. So seeing the dynamic of miscommunication, misrepresentation, you not in the right place, but you were in the same spandex with the other guy. That's on you, son. That's on you.
That's
you
on you.
The same spandex. You shouldn't have worn the same spandex. But having that individual, I mean, it's a nice, interesting character. Again, when someone has the creativity of, we're going to create a character IP and let them be able to projectile themselves in a moving fashion like a bullet. Okay, we can't call him Bullet Man. He's too tall too big for a bullet. Torpedo. And when you see how he flies around, again, Barry mentioned that, he's got his silver helmet and everything like that, wind resistance, to reflect, shots and stuff like that. But his arms, again, around his arms are like just that. Imagine two very large cylinder type of donuts, let's call it. But when he puts his hands together, with our powers combined, transform into Torpedo. And he just basically is like jumps forward and in a very straight position, he's just flying.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cute. It's nice. It's interesting. Yes, I said the word cute because the man hovering, levitating off the ground. About 4 feet off the ground. Go fly up, come back down. Like an early rendition of a drone, basically type of scenario. No,
exactly.
Drone is able to stand still. He has to go forward. All right, so just early, was coming off the top of my head. But I like the character in the sense that it's interesting that you see the complexity of who he is. Again, Marvel likes to make characters who are could be everyday man. And the nice thing, the interesting about it is that he was someone who is familiar, who likes not the attention, but likes being very active and very, whatever the case to be, being the star football player, being, physically fit and all that kind of stuff. met up, engaged, marry a supermodel. So he likes that high type of profile life, but realizing he wants to do good from his family, being a football player again, could get injured or anything along that line, chose to change his whole career path, became working insurance. That's very regressive. And in his eyesight, and you can see later now, he's now having he's just feeling uncomfortable. He doesn't feel like himself. So Marvel creating an IP in that regard that makes someone, we're seeing through the point of view of someone who's realizing, like, I want that hunger, I want the excitement, the rush of what I've had before.
Yeah.
Don this suit, don this piece of equipment, and creates himself into Torpedo. So yeah, it's a nice way of having, you're seeing a different alias, a different type of mindset, and it's very nice. Why not?
Because a lot of times we see our superheroes, and our superheroes are usually damaged in a way, right? Like Punisher, all right? He was, let's say, born of fire. Spider-Man, right? Great loss right there. All right. Tony Stark had heart injuries and then had to deal with alcoholism. Okay. So I like that Marvel always ground these characters with something that is tangible. So this one, there was no, he didn't have anyone in his life that he lost that was traumatic. Right.
Right.
Rock Jones, I'm talking. So he didn't lose anyone that was traumatic in his life. He's dealing with losing a career. That his loss was the loss. Well, not even, I can't even say the loss. Logically, he made the right choice, and he knows that.
Right.
But emotionally, he's still dealing with that, and it's not so much like, oh man, I want people cheering my name, and he'd be happy playing Sunday football, touch football on a Sunday, right? Like that's the kind of person he strikes me as. So it's not so much that he's missing the chanting of the name and all that. He just misses playing. You took someone who's trains their body all the time to be peak athlete, and then you put him behind of a desk.
It's the rush.
He doesn't want a desk job.
He doesn't want to do that. Like the rush of it is what he's missing. He's missing the excitement, the thrill of it. And now the scenario is, to me, because he made that decision to not be like that anymore, is like resentment to himself. Like he's thinking, like, did I make a bad choice? And he knows he didn't make a bad choice because he made the choice for his family. Yes. And he's looking out for their well-being. But he's like, I just need some type of excitement, because I believe, I'll say it in this way, he believes, or you can think that he believes, because he made this choice, he's now boxing himself into this particular mindset of thinking that he can't do anything exciting. He can't do anything worthwhile. So I've now been, working in the world of insurance, industry, and I'm like, I guess there's nothing else to do. No, there's a whole bunch of stuff to do. But in the days, they made it seem they wrote him to think that he couldn't think outside of that box. Think that's all his life now is at that level. So getting an opportunity to put a little fire underneath him, like, what? Oh, there's a lot of rush. Flying around. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you're right. And just like any football player, generally speaking, they go through college, university to get picked up. So they don't get really much into his backstory on his college and school years. So I'm assuming that while he was in, and this is a total assumption, when he was in school, that he probably did study maybe to, insurance and all that, to have like something to fall back on in the future.
Right.
He just didn't realize his future would have come that quick. And he made the decision to go ahead and do that. Loves his wife, loves his two kids. He's got a boy and he's got a girl. In that 2-issue story arc there, a Marvel premiere, where you see him, in there you find out, okay, he's got his two kids, loves his kids, loves his wife, happy with his family life. As you put it, he's just missing the rush of being, he's not, as I said, some people don't want to be behind a desk, and some people want to be behind a desk. And it's nothing wrong either side of it. It's just how people are built. He's not, even though he studied a desk job for his future, a desk job was not in his mind. In that 2-story arc, you find out that his wife is now pregnant with a third child. And he gets the suit, and his whole thing of, getting the suit was he didn't want to be a hero. He he just got the suit and it makes you fly. That was it. He just liked flying. I'm not gonna lie. You heard this on this podcast now. We're in our third year. So for 2 years, you've been hearing our voices. And
Mm-hmm.
and we all can tell. If I walk down the street and some guy said, keep this suit safe, it makes you fly and gives you super strength. Especially with the price of gas right now, let me tell you, wicked man, I'd be playing Elton
Gone.
John. I'd be flying all over the place. I would leave Toronto, fly to Montreal, get myself a poutine from Belle Province, take off from there. I'm gonna go to Quebec City, hit Shea Ashton. It would be a whole flying poutine run. If I'm passing air in the air, no one's around me. I ain't gotta get no passport. I'm gonna be down in Miami. All right, I was gonna be me trying to reunite the group LMFAO, and it's like back in Miami, Trick. And then you see me in the video in that torpedo suit, like that would be me. Okay, I'm not going to lie. Okay, I'm
Oh,
flying all over. I ain't trying to stop crime. I'm just having a good time,
there you go.
and gas is
There you go.
expensive. So,
That.
right. Hey, and if anyone wants to sponsor the show, let us know. All right, plug, plug, plug. Uh, so I get it. So he's not trying to be a hero, but at the same
Right.
time, how do you tell your wife it's like, hey, I found this costume is gonna make me fly? You know by rights, he knows in his mind he can't tell his wife that. And why is he not telling his wife? It's not about keeping secrets. He's just not telling his wife because he doesn't want to take the chance that he might fuck him out of it. And this is
Yeah.
his outlet. Not so much being a hero. He's not on patrol. He's just flying. It clears the air. It's like a Sunday drive. It's something that is athletic. This is where it is. I would say he's a athletic junkie. Like he
Mm-hmm.
has to, if it's working out, if it's simply walking, it's playing, that's where he gets his rush from. So when I read this now, when I first read it years ago when this thing came out, I'm like, oh,
Uh-huh.
that's so cool. And it's still cool now, but my insight, my perspective has changed on
Change.
that.
Yeah.
And the change is this guy is addicted to move to physical activity. That's his rush. Where
Mm-hmm.
some people turn around and play games for hours on end, and that's their rush. At the same time, you put me on a dance floor, I'm the first one in the club, and I'm the one shutting it down. Still this guy here. So I know in my personality where things will click in for me. And I feel that's more of what they were trying to convey. So it's not oh man, people are chanting my name and all these girls are looking at me. No, he doesn't care about any other women. He married a supermodel and he's
Mm-hmm.
very proud about that. And it's not he pushes her on her that oh yeah you can tell when you read this that he loves her no matter what. So he knows she's a model, successful. Stopped her. They both made a thing to say, "Hey, we're stopping our careers. Want a family together? Want a family with you? I want a family with you." He's like, "You take care of the house. I'll make sure everything's taken care of." So this
Right.
is what he's doing. I know I said this earlier, but he's missing that action. That's the action he's
Right.
missing. Not about trying to have his name out there, not about trying to stop criminals, not about having his name in the lights. It's really, you know, I ran 5 miles today in under X amount of time. I'm going to try to
Mm-hmm.
do it in 2 weeks and see if I can take like 10 seconds off my personal best. That's where it comes in for him. So because he said if he was missing all that lifestyle, I
Right.
feel that the character would have been written a bit differently. But it's more of, oh, behind the desk again. Oh, I'm not understanding what they're saying. But the thing is, he turns off. He's not even listening to what they're saying. So at one
Right.
point, he knows it, but he stopped because he's bored. It doesn't hold his attention.
Mm-hmm.
All he does is look out the window and he wants to fly. And I think that there has happened to maybe everybody at one point in your life. You sitting down, being in an office, a classroom, a bus ride, a car ride, wherever, and you look out the window and then you start daydreaming because wherever you might have to do at that moment, you're like, oh, I don't feel like doing this or going here or coming. Oh no, this day was. And then you look out the window and it's like, and then the sun is out there, the skies are blue,
Right.
birds are flying, and they look so free in that moment that you wish, and you always hear the thing, I wonder if a man can fly. If I could fly anywhere, and not a lot of people say that phrase, if I could fly somewhere, if I had wings, where would
Yep.
I go? I would
There I
just,
go.
the birds look so carefree flying in there. away from gravity. And that's a true statement right there. So this is why this hit me even harder. I'm like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
once again,
Yep.
Marvel hit me in the deep.
Wow.
If you think about it, I mean, I'm sure
No,
you're like
100%.
at one point you sat there one time, maybe looking out there, and you're like, huh, and you see a bird flying by, and you're like,
Eh,
who's second thought? Huh.
hmm,
And that's all it is. And
yeah.
that's what this
All
whole
you need.
world is about, right? So that's why I found interesting. Now, of course, he's flying, but then of course now it's a Marvel comic. Trouble arises. Bum, bum, bum. So when he's flying around and doing all this stuff, there's a group of guys looking to get that particular suit. They have their own suits, which is I think they're a division of Hydra, and they're all in green. Who is trying to get it
Yep.
back? These Rocketeer guys, and I think they're a division of Hydra, and they're trying to get back the suit from him. So now they see him going by, and they're like, "Well, there it is." And it's this other, senator that was working too secretly, part of this secret empire kind of thing, and they want to get the suit because if they can get the suit, the whole thing is you get the suit that is made without flaws to mass produce it to give it to the troops.
Right.
The government, military contract is a lot of money. Get the suit, reverse engineer it,
Yep.
make it, sell it. And you picture if, a bunch of guys show up on a battlefield and then you see, 300 guys in these torpedo suits coming towards them for military purposes. And of course, they're going to add more stuff on
I'm out.
there.
I'm out.
Right.
I'm out. I'm going AWOL right now. Going AWOL right now. I'm out. No joke.
Yeah. They're trying to make rock. Look, back in the 70s, 80s, we're making jetpacks. To just recently now, the jetpack has evolved where it gives you like what, maybe 10 minutes of flight. And you got like the jets on your arms, a jetpack on your back, on your feet, and you see them kind of going around there. We've seen the videos. Okay.
Yep.
So if you can make that gives you extended flight, increased strength for X amount of time, bulletproof, and you put that on 300 guys, and you say, hey guys, go into the field. And of course, the suit has its own powers where it can just kind of reverse the jets and throw out these like torpedo punches or air punches and knock through bricks and stuff like that. Okay. And you send them out in the field to deal with, and keep in mind, let's look at it. You deal with like terrorism, you deal with invasion, surveillance, scouting, infantry, and that changes the whole thing. So I know, yes, we're in the real world, Barry, haha, got it. But this is why these guys in the story are motivated to get the suit from him. And of course, he's made a promise. And at the same time, he doesn't want to die.
Right.
They're not just trying to knock him over the head and strip the suit off and leave him in his underwear to go home. No, they figure he stole the original creator, which is Michael. They think it's him, so they get revenge, shaking fist of anger, get the suit, bring it back to their boss, get the contract, mass produce it.
Yep.
Bob's your uncle.
Right.
No.
Not today. Not today. Because the person who's chasing him down, the main boss, is actually Michael's father. That's the senator. Well, his uncle to be exact.
Yes, his uncle. That's right. That's right.
So his uncle. So that's why it's hilarious that you're like saying you're trying to just beat him out of it. I'm like, but it's Michael's. Why are you fighting? I'm not Michael. I don't know. Hilarious.
Well, and that's what it comes down to. And then that's the connection. So, he goes through a brief stint as a hero. That's what they're trying. And yes, that's right, because his uncle Eugene thinks it's him and then wants to get the suit back. So that's a whole setup. So you got your villain set up. You got right now we've got a football player, a model, family man, wife, happy marriage. He's going through his adjustment period of working in the office. And on top of it, he's fighting the original guys, or the second Torpedo's uncle, who works for the government and has his hands in a secret empire or group that are trying to bring it back to make money. Right. There's a lot of pieces in there that work. And then when you take it a little bit further, so, Brock has a couple of adventures as a Torpedo. He survives them. He promises his family, that's it, I'm done, no more superheroing. He moves his family out to a suburb in Carlton, I think it is. And when they're living there, everyone's good. And in this little town of Carlton, guess what happens? It came from outer space. Rom! Rom crash lands in that little suburban town. Fight the Dyrafs, right? Which are shape-changing aliens. Again, besides the Skrulls. And Rom the Space Knight. Now, for all of you who are listening and have heard us every episode, great. If you missed the episode of Rom the Space Knight, link is down below. Because we've covered Rom the Space Knight. And this is where it gets a little bit sad. So Brock turns around, sees Rom, and decides to help Rom fight off the Dyrafs. The Dyrafs are on Earth, and then you find out even more that it was because of them. They helped because they got to Earth before Rom, through shapeshifters. They went in and helped design this suit. So the suit was really made or inspired by alien technology. This is why it looks like a shirt and a pair of tights on your one-piece blue tight, yet it can resist bullets, temperature, high altitudes. It gives you augmented strength. You don't see no mortars and all that because they're using their technology. So Michael was working with a team of Dyrafs that he didn't even realize are Dyrafs. He didn't even realize they were there. Helped him make the suit. It's a breakthrough for man, right? Because you don't see the circuitry. It comes off like a normal shirt. That's how advanced it was. And they were using Earth resources to help build this so they can mass produce it and fight the Space Knights. So the Dyrafs are shapeshifters, as I said, who deal with science and magic. And they were doing this as a preemptive strike, so they knew that Rom would chase him to Earth. They wanted to have these battle suits ready to have him outnumbered and really take him down. Of course, it was the Torpedo, so the Torpedo teams up with Rom, Space Knight, during these adventures, and it's in one of these adventures that Brock ends up losing his life. During the Rom series. That's where his story arc ends for Rom.
That was awful. Got it.
Right. But, in Marvel, down but never out. So even during this, the senator who was trying to get back that suit, he ends up getting so irate and so much stress, he has a heart attack. So this is he has a heart attack. Brock goes into retirement. Rom comes to Earth. Brock comes out of retirement, helps Brock a couple of times because Brock helps Rom a couple of times because he's in his town. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. And then, he ends up dying during one of the adventures. He gets killed by the Dyrafs. And while they're cleaning out his effects, the family's moved on. So I'm not sure what's happened to the kids at this point. But his wife and them, they're out there. They're getting rid of the house. His nephew is there helping pack stuff up in the house. And he's in the attic with one of his friends. And they find a box has the Torpedo suit in it. Yeah, man. It don't stop. It doesn't
Can't stop.
Nope. Can't stop. Don't stop. Yeah. So there we go. Michael was murdered by the Direwolf Queen, Bollocks, who was posing as Brock Jones' son, Danny, Michael's second cousin. So Danny, the real Danny, not the Dyraf Danny. So Danny, along with his friend, one of his friends, they find the suit. So they say, "Hey, this is the Torpedo. We heard about the Torpedo. That was my uncle." So he puts on the suit and he starts learning to use it. And then his friend, so they would share the suit. So Danny was okay in the suit, right? I'm talking the nephew, but it was really his friend who was actually better in the suit. And I'm looking up her name right now. But she was better in the suit. So the two of them turn around and join the New Warriors. So that's Night Thrasher, Namota, Nova, or Kid Nova as they're calling him at one point, Astro Boy, Firestar. That was the core team there, along with Speedball. My apologies, along with Speedball. And then they come in later on when the team went through other, I use the word team with them more. They were more like a family kind of hanging out, but fighting crime. And they joined as Torpedo. So he was good with the weapon, the kind of the tech part of it. His friend, she became the new Torpedo. That's her name. Her name was Mickey. That's it. So her name
Yeah.
was yes. So her name is uh uh
Mashiko Miki Mashusa.
thank
Mashusi,
you.
sorry.
Thank you. So they called her Mickey for short. That was her
Hmm.
nickname. So he's got, Asian roots, obviously. And she becomes, so they were sharing the suit at one point, but in even he realized, like, hey, you know what? Mickey's better in the suit than I am, and gives it to her to be a full-fledged member of the New Warriors. So they almost came in like a Wendy Marvin kind of thing with Super Friends, and one of them had a suit and they had to share it back and forth.
Hilarious. That is funny.
So what do you think about the torpedo, Rod?
You know what? Listen, in all, the Torpedo is a very interesting character. I always say stuff along that line because it's unique that you create an IP and for the function of being a projectile type unit that he just goes, he flies around and he flies around. But realizing that the character was made for the do good, thought evil, do good. We've now just dissected that Brock's mindset was really more just using the suit as being just as a getaway, just to enjoy, some type of freedom and liberties in his life, just to create something.
Yeah.
That was his use of it. And again, you don't see characters made out like that. How far can it get into, if you're going to pull it into a real world? The script may have to be changed up a little bit. The backstory maybe have to change a little bit, but the initial aspect of having someone called a torpedo, that's different. Using his whole body, it's like the torpedo is in the similar type of concept like Cannonball. Minus Cannonball had the ability that whenever he was projecting himself, he had his own little force field. So it wasn't relying on the suit, which
Mhm.
means could be used, more creative ideas could be used along that line. So Torpedo would be to me maybe a nice entry level cannonball. And they may
Right.
use the cannonball. May use the cannonball. So if we can
Oh,
make use of
absolutely.
cannonball, you can make use of
Absolutely.
torpedo. You can make use of torpedo.
Absolutely.
That's how I look at it.
Okay, so let's get down to the brass tacks of it. So if you had to, let's get right to our fan casting at this point.
Okay.
If you had to fan cast this and adapt it, one, how would you want to adapt it, and who would be your Brock Jones? Who would be your torpedo?
So I would create this to be an animated show.
Mhm.
Here's the reason why. As I just said, comparing to comparing to like say Cannonball, and I'm just saying Cannonball for the realism of what the person can do. We can see that he has the ability to kind of reverse jetpack you with air blasts and stuff like that. But I think if it was animated, you have the more freedom to create some more better effects, some more
Mhm.
ways of just introducing the character and giving him something maybe a little extra flair. Where if it was just a live adaptation, you may not get that full feel if that was primary first and you did animation. But if you did animation and then we came to like say, you see him a guest spot or presented in the MCU, be like, yo, I know I've seen it in the cartoon. Maybe he won't be able to do what he could do in the cartoon in real life because budget cuts or whatever the case may be. But I think I would like it to be an animated. And with that, I wanted to find someone that was when you look at the character, he is built. He is, he has that athletic type of look. But he also can look like someone who's very, I'm not saying humble, but he's someone who can just be. You can see him like saying, you know what, I could see him. Again, he's going to be an insurance a broker. He can be working in this industry, so he can look good in a suit, but he'll just like the average man who can just like get lost in the crowd. I wanted to have someone who's just going to have that, but you can look at that thing. There's something about you. Freddie Stoma is who I would pick. Freddie Stoma, you say? Who's that? Uh, the most recent adaptation we've seen of him, um, we've mentioned about the character that he played in Peacemaker. He was playing Adrian Chase, aka the Vigilante. Now, you may like, oh, okay, cool, but I'll go back to where you normally know him from. I will
Mm,
just say, if you are accustomed to watching Harold Potter and any of the Harold Potter movies,
oh,
there is a gentleman by the name of Cormac McLegan. So
right.
he is one of the protagonists in the movie. I mean, and all in the series. He was the one at the very end of Death Hollow, the one that was basically fighting with Harry Potter. Harold, you know, I'm about to say Harold. Harry Potter for the cup, and he's the one who
Right.
died at the end, and then Harry
Oh,
brought him back. That guy. So when you look at him,
wow.
when you look at Freddy, you can see he has a nice build. He has a nice jawline that you when you see the character in the comic books, you know he's more bigger, like a football player type of scenario when he's in civilian clothes. But when he's in his uniform, he's a very slender, you know, fit individual. Freddy can fit that pose as well. I wanted to have someone who wasn't like top known, but when you look at him, like I've seen you somewhere. I've seen you somewhere. So I want to give Freddie an opportunity to do that. Now, because he was in, I'm just gonna, and I'm not babbling on, but because he was in Vigilante in Peacemaker, that's on the DC side. So I'm giving Freddie the opportunity to be, to introduce himself into the the Marvel universe, and I said MCU, but the Marvel universe of animation. So at least he can come in through that way. I'd like to see him voice it, and then if you voice it, and you give it a similarity, you draw him to be like that. So if they ever do decide to go to real life, Freddy can still
Gotcha.
stand in and
Okay.
take. So
All
that's the
right.
reason why I
Okay.
want.
See, I like how you think. I like how you think. Down with you. I'm down with you.
Thank
But
you.
I'm going the opposite on this one though. I'm going. So you're going animated. I'm going live action.
Okay.
Going straight out live action. So here's why I'm going to go live action. A lot of times I think, I say movie limited series. No, this one give me a full out series. Give me a full out series just because they've made the character so layered already. I know we're looking at football insurance, and beginning of the episode we're like but when you get into his mindset, that's where the beauty of the episodes can really
Okay.
stray. Right?
Go from there.
You're a superhero with a wife, three kids, you got some senators out to get you. You just want to break from your day job and you kind of fall into being a hero. And then on top of it, your story arc ends off when Rom shows up. So
Right.
here's my whole thing, right? Here's the beauty of this. We talked about Rom before, and I'm going to kind of briefly
Mm-hmm.
go there again. So one, I want it live action. Of course, because it's a Marvel property, it's going to be under Disney. I think it can be their Agents of Shield. Agents of Shield had its own ongoing series. I think it
Mm-hmm.
can have its own series. And people are going to say, why? Well, okay, if you got to get into the dynamics of, Rock at work, Rock with his wife, Rock raising his three kids, Rock moving from the big city to a smaller city. So just those dynamics alone say a lot. You're going to introduce Brock's nephew, right? You put him younger. That's his nephew, and let him into. So I like the fact that it's really showing him as a family man without the stress, the extreme tragedy that a lot of heroes are born out of most of the time. I think that's a refreshing change, in my opinion. Not everyone has to
Okay.
die for you to have an origin story. Sorry, not everyone has to die close to you to have an
Right. You were
origin
saying that
story,
before. Yeah.
right? Yeah, because in the beginning of it, of course, because Michael did die, but it wasn't, Brock was just there. He has no idea
Right.
who Michael is. He just heard this
Right.
guy say this thing, took the suit and ran.
Mm-hmm.
Gone. So I want it live action. It could be a series. I think it could run for a couple of seasons. And then you can
Okay.
drop some, and once again, you can drop in a lot of Easter eggs through this, right? So because he's new as a hero, he gets into fights. You can bring in a version of damage control that we haven't seen that has to pick up the pieces. That's an Easter egg right there. You can deal with relationships with properly within the MCU without it being someone has to die, for me to take up the mantle, a close family member, as I was saying. So we bring in damage control. You can have other Easter eggs of maybe locations within the Marvel universe that we would never see. Usually, when we watch these movies, we always look for the actor and not the location. And sometimes the location is just as important. Avengers
Important.
compound,
Okay.
the Baxter
Okay.
Building, the Hellfire Club, right?
Oh.
You know, Tyler Foundation Tower, where the New
Mm.
Warriors operate out of, Hell's Kitchen. Those are important sites
Yeah.
within the Marvel
The
universe,
MC.
right? The X Mansion. You don't show the X Men without showing the X Mansion. You don't show Batman without a Batmobile or a Batcave, because if you do that,
Fantastic
you
Four
fail the
without the Baxter
property.
Building. I believe.
Exactly.
Fantastic
So
Four without the
now,
Baxter Building, kind of thing.
yeah, exactly. So now with the Torpedo in the city, he can walk around and walk by these locations. Hey, there's Avengers Tower. Oh, that's the building's 2 blocks away from here. Now, for fans, that's going to speak a lot. That's going to speak
Yeah.
a lot. Like, oh wow, we're seeing it. You know, let him walk by the offices of where Marvel Comics used to be, in front of that, like down the street. Like walk right in front of it, and it's like, oh yeah, Marvel Comics. So there's where I'm seeing a lot of
Okay.
interesting writing come across, because I said
Okay.
his focus is being a family man trying to find peace with himself
Mm-hmm.
on being the good provider. That's the basis of it. That's beautiful right there. So I
Okay.
want a series, especially now that we've always, I said before in other episodes, we're dealing more with mental health, and the dynamics of a relationship. Okay, and now we sprinkle the superhero stuff on top of it. That's where we're going to get into, and we get into the villains, and that senator that's trying to get the suit, and that secret empire or whatever, and that's to me is a part of Hydra.
Okay.
Okay, that's great. You can focus more on world building without it having to be a big name hero, but the person can still portray. So this is where I'm going with live action. If they're going to do a cartoon, but do that live action, and then go back and insert him into ROM. So, and here's the big Easter egg: is if you know you're going to do a ROM property, be it if it's live or not, you get to the end of his series. All you
Right.
need to do is have that fiery meteor come to town, crash land, and you see a figure come out. Depending on what your budget is, you don't even have to show the full ROM costume. All you need to
Show a
show
foot.
is a camera angle and a leg, all
Show a
in
foot. I'm
silver.
about to say. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Show a foot. Show a foot.
Show a
Show a
foot.
foot.
Give me
Silver
from
foot.
the yeah, show me from the thigh down on that look, the
Yeah.
foot, and everyone will recognize. Oh my gosh, it's panning up. It's ROM, and you know as a fan, okay, then you can still do the ROM movie or series how we talked about it, and do it that way, and we
Mm-hmm.
know that his character, that's near the end of his run, because of what's going to happen. That's to be the transition where, Brock's story is going to end, and then his nephew finds the suit and takes over. You can even
Right.
do a whole thing of,
Hmm.
all right, you do the main person, you come, the meteor hits the city, Rom comes out, you see the leg, oh my gosh, and then you can go a few years later, and then you see them do a flashback of, hey, a battle happened. You can show where he was killed off by a doppelganger of Michael, his nephew, right? Because it was Volex, the Dyraf that shape shifted into him, and
Mm-hmm.
you can just mention Rom without showing Rom, or
Right.
especially you could put Rom at a distance, and it still carries on the narrative of that story without losing the history. All that being said,
Hmm.
my person who will play him is live action. I think is dead on for me. He's got the size, he's got the jaw, he's already an active person in real life in the arena of combat that I like to watch.
Okay.
I'm going with the wrestler known as Dolph Ziggler from the WWE. His real name is Nicholas Theodore Nemeth. Now, if you look up Dolph Ziggler, he's done some acting, he's done stand up comedy, but you look at him, that's it. That's Brock. He's the jaw, the shoulders, the height. And because this is what the guy does for how many years in wrestling, in and out the ring, he's underrated, in my opinion, and phenomenal talent. He knows how to control a mic. He's got that quality. So let's now take a big name person. Let's give it to Dolph Ziggler. Sorry, Nicholas Theodore Namath. Give it to Nicholas, right? We'll call him Nick. Give it to Nick. You put Nick in that
Mm.
suit, he's gonna look money. He's got humor. He can sell emotion, because if you saw his matches when he does his promos, there's times he gets really raw. He's got that emotion in there. He's got that talent. Give it to him and see what happens. I think this is,
Okay.
this is the person for me. This is absolutely the person for me. I could see him being the family man and having the struggles and so forth, and portraying that. And you take some of the stuff he's done in his little video vignettes in his wrestling and the career over the years he's done it with the WWE. A little bit of his humor because he's going to have kids, so he's not going to be brooding around his kids. He's always nice. He brings his kids home gifts every day. They even say it's on the comic. Like every day he comes home from work, he brings a little something for his kids, no matter if it's a stupid gift or not. They look forward to that. He has that connection.
Okay.
Nicholas, 100%. That's who I'm going with. That's my fan cast right there.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying in regard of, having that charismatic type of presentation and stuff. Like, yeah, I do. I know of him. So yeah, okay. That's. I didn't go down the wrestler lane. That's interesting. Okay.
And this is like, no, I don't. But he's 100%. 100%. And I say a series. It's not even like a cameo. Give me a series. Give me 3 seasons with him with that story arc where, we know the last episode is when Rom shows up. Oh, man. As a fan, chills.
Okay.
I'll lose it. Chills. Done. Okay. Got
it. Okay, cool. Interesting. Okay, cool.
I know it's different, but when you think about it, you're like, and if you look it up, you're like, oh, okay. All right. Got you.
Okay.
So once again, Nicholas, Nick, Dolph,
all right.
Whatever you're going by these days, man. You're welcome. Call your agent. Reach out.
Here you go.
All we want to do is have some merch, a little bit of percentage for the finding fee, and have us on set to do exclusive interviews. That's all we want to start with. All right, cool. Rod, any last words, man?
You know what? No. I mean, Torpedo is a very complex. I'm listening to it and I'm thinking he's a complex individual. We're not really saying it. We're saying without saying that he's complex, but he's complex. There's a lot of layers to him.
Better than you think.
And yeah, that's again the good thing about Marvel is that they like to give you that human touch. They like to bring in characters that you can basically relate to. So scenarios and situations that happen, it's written in there, and you can, if you can connect with it, you'll see the dynamic. Like that could have been me. I just had to come across a suit. Now everybody be looking down the alleyways looking for someone just dying and taking a suit from them. Make sure it's the right suit, the right size. That's all we're saying. But don't hurt them unless they're on their own. Just keep on walking. Yeah. Right on.
Right on. Exactly. And my boy, as I said, he doesn't have to be a high fighter. He's a football player, so he's physical, but he's not a. I think my guy can do it. So on that note, everybody. Once again, thank you for tuning into the Iconis podcast in the new year. We've been having a good time. Glad you're still here rocking with us. And please, like, subscribe, share. Don't let the show be a secret. And on that note, this whole world was started by a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming. We're out. Break it down.